Attack on Titan, Chapter 108, titled A Sound Argument, sees the continued discussion of the upper class military personnel, discussing the fact that they've recently imprisoned the Marleyan volunteers, mostly because of the fact of the matter that they are, you know, sympathizers of Zeke. They work directly under them, and they feel that they cannot completely trust Zeke Yeager, especially considering that they've kind of, both he and Erin kind of went off the rails a little bit with their attack on Marley and the devastation that they caused, pushing forward the fact that the rest of the world's eyes will all be on Paradise Island. They even talk about Historia's unplanned pregnancy with a worker from the farm that she was raised on. One of the upper higher military personnel believes that it was Yelena who persuaded Historia to have relations with that young man. So it was very much kind of more than likely a way of stalling from having her devour Zeke, as Historia found it to be her only way out of, pushing forward with devouring Zeke and then having the time limit of 13 years imposed upon her, which is she was damned either way because she was forced to be impregnated by someone. She forced herself to be impregnated by someone who, if anything, she didn't really completely love. She cared for enough but didn't love the man, which is very unfortunate. We then cut to Jean, Mikasa, Armin, and Connie discussing Erin and his kind of involvement with Zeke in general. Connie starts to kind of feel that Erin has become a completely different person from who he was previously, and even goes so far as to say that they might have to, at some point, cut Erin down, and it's the eventuality they should be prepared for. You know, Obviously, Connie is completely distraught over the loss of Sasha and very much blames Erin for her death. Mikasa naturally is like completely against this, which anyone who knows Mikasa should just know that she would be in no way part to the murder of Erin for any conceivable reason. However, and she also even goes so far as to remind them of the previous events of a year ago, after they had, gone into developing Paradise Island, furthering its technology and innovation. Back last year, when they had started to kind of develop the railroad system by hand, mind you, a lot of them, we you kind of note that a lot of them had grown, taller, larger, bigger, stronger, and that was because they had spent a lot of time and effort developing their country, and working these rails did a lot to improve their physicality. However, as they're working, Hanji brings news that Hizuru will be has denied the has stated that they will not be negotiating with Paradise Island, and has denied the diplomatic path, mostly because they don't want to open up the resources of Paradise Island, specifically the stones that fuel the 3D maneuver gear, up to other countries. They want an entire monopoly on these resources, and are completely unwilling to negotiate with other countries, as they might possibly want this element as well. The crew then talk about the fact that other nations are completely unwilling to see Paradise Island as a, in a positive light. And, it kind of unites them in a way because of that. Having a common enemy just unites the forces of the world against them. I also love this little moment that we even have in there where Levi kind of notes the fact that everyone, including Connie, pretty much grew up over time, which is not to be unexpected. They were all teenagers, when they were originally introduced, and now they're like in their late teens, early 20s. So naturally, they'd have grown, but now everyone's pretty much taller than Levi now. Mikasa ends up suggesting that they go out into the world, meeting up with everyone face to face, and kind of just talk things over, show that they are just as human as the rest of the world. Even suggesting the fact that, since the rest of the world talks in Eldian, you know, plain English. Basically, English has become the dominant language of the world. I guess if you go by the anime, it would be probably be Japanese is the dominant language of the world. But everything is pretty much written in English, at least from what I remember. So it'd probably be English, which is the dominant language. Uh, Later on the train that they have, Erin brings up the topic of finding a new candidate for his Titan's power. He's slowly starting to reach the end of the line here. Gene volunteers himself, saying that he's a lot more clever, clear-headed, and rational thinking than Erin. However, Connie denies him this, saying that someone like that shouldn't meet his end so quickly and should become a commander, whereas Connie says that he'll take on the power, only for Sasha to say that she should take over the power since Connie is an idiot, which Connie completely rebuttals. And I love this little moment where Connie's just like, well, you're also an idiot, so of course you shouldn't take the power. You're defeating your own reasoning there. It makes no sense for you to have the power. And even when it comes to Mikasa, there's the statement of the fact that she's, a half breed, half Asian, half Eldian, so they don't know what the consequences of her half bloodline would have on her Titan form. It could easily just wreak havoc on her body or the rest of the world to have her in control of that kind of power. Um, However, Aaron then states that, he doesn't want any of them to have the power and says that they're too special to him and he wants them to live long and meaningful lives. Kind of highlighting the note that Mikasa stated that Aaron cares very much for them, but it also goes into the fact that Aaron has changed a lot since then. What happened in a year's time to make Aaron change this much? That's what this whole flashback is about. Discovering why Aaron has changed so much in the little bit of time that we've seen. Nothing should have changed Aaron's personality so drastically that he's become this almost menacing force, more or less. Um, and we have this cute little moment where Aaron starts to blush and everyone else starts to kind of blush over the statement that Aaron made. And it's very sweet and cute. That just makes the present even more bitter. Because, now Sasha's dead, Connie wants to do away with Aaron, Jean just completely distrusts Aaron. Even Mikasa is having a hard time sticking up for Aaron and the direction that he's gone in. Mikasa states that Aaron is doing everything that he's done for their sake, but Jean and Connie disagree. Um, Jean, highlights the fact that beforehand, Aaron would never place any of his comrades in harm's way. He would keep them as far away from the battle as possible, even to his own detriment. But in this situation, he called upon them to join him in battle. And it's just unlike him. He's reckless to a fault, and he would never have put his friends in that kind of harm's way. And because of his rash decision making, Sasha is dead. And even Connie points that out, saying that, you know, he noticed that when the news of Sasha's death, hit Erin, he didn't shed a tear, he didn't apologize, he didn't weep, he smiled. And Connie was so taken aback by this. And he just feels like he can't trust Erin anymore because of that smile. He wants to know the meaning behind that smile. What would drive him to smile at the death of someone he used to care so much about? Jean no longer sees Erin as the Erin they once knew. Something has changed in him. And Armin highlights this note, saying that they have to talk to Erin. They have to come to understand where Erin's mind is at right now. Because at this point, Erin has gone off the rails, and they have to decide whether or not they should have someone more competent turn into a Titan and eat him at this point. This kind of goes into a question. It's just like, before Erin, was someone who would go to any length to protect his comrades. But has he gotten to a point where, he's completely so engulfed in that mission that he no longer understands he's putting them in more danger than anything else? You know, really, that's what we need to find out. What changed in Erin to make him go to this, you know, degree of just wanting to challenge, the Marleyan forces and put Paradise Island even more on the radar of the world. We then end up cutting to Gabby and Falco resting at a stream, where Falco makes the point of saying that Gabby should remove her armband that shows her as an Eldian. However, Gabby is just kind of manic in not wanting to take it off, wanting to be a good soldier, to, just show what she's about. She, brushes it off, saying that they need to find Zeke, and that, ultimately, um, they need to, just find Zeke and question his motives, and that Falco can either go with her or, he can do whatever he likes and just go off. So Falco grabs at her armband, but Gabby pins him to the ground, snatching the armband back. And Falco just questions where Gabby's mind is at, why she's so desperate to hold on to it. What is going on with Gabby? Has something inside her snapped at this point? Which obviously it has, with everything she's been through and everything she's done. I don't think this is gonna pump the hate brakes on Gabby anytime soon. And just where this is all going with her character is very much unknown. But we see a moment that just shows how murder crazy she's become. She is in full fight or flight mode throughout this entire thing, as they are discovered by a young girl who questions where they're from. Falco immediately makes up a story that they had a fight with their parents and ran away, whereas Gabby is going right for a rock to murder this woman, not even knowing what she's about. Falco immediately brushes this off, and the young girl invites them back to her place. But it just shows that Gabby has become completely unhinged because of the events that happened up till now. Falco is seeing things more clearly because he's gotten so much of the story up until this point that he kind of understands there's more going on than what they've been shown. But, Gabby's been so enthralled with their military and becoming the next Titan and everything that has happened up until now that she's completely unable to see things subjectively and sees enemies at every turn, enemies that should be killed no matter what. Back in Marley, Magath briefs the warriors of Zeke's betrayal, stating that, despite the fact that they saw Zeke's remains, it was only his arms and legs, and they note seeing Zeke boarding the Zeppelin. They link everything to the fact that Zeke probably planned this all out. They have Zeke's number. In the fact that the gear, the 3D maneuver gear that the forces of Paradise Island had been re engineered to be able to deal with ground soldiers, the kind of weaponry that you only find out in the outside world. Uh, a lot of things just point to the fact that Zeke has probably betrayed their forces. And he even goes on to state that the entire world is ready to band together in order to take down Paradise Island. The talk that Willie Tybor had stated before about banding together is coming to fruition in the fact that after Aaron's display of power and his monstrous attack on the people of Marley and Eldia, the deaths of all those people, the world is ready to take Paradise Island down, no matter what, in 6 months' time. The military of the world will descend on Paradise Island. Reiner, however, states that they should go full force against Paradise Island right here, right now. I believe it's Peck, or no, it's I forget the one dude, but the one who was kind of watching over Gabby and Falco. You know, he states that they have to go in and rescue the two since they've been captured. So everyone's all in for go. Reiner and this one dude are all in for going right now, attacking immediately just because they don't want to give Paradise Island a any kind of time to mount a counterattack or possibly figure out some way of stopping the attack upon their island. No quarter shall be given to Paradise Island. And it just highlights even more. Erin, Zeke, what are you guys thinking in all of this? Because it's not going to go in the direction that will lead to anyone really escaping unscathed. There are too many questions as to what exactly these two Jaegers are thinking. But that's all I really have to say about this chapter. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think will happen when Connie and Armin and the rest confront Erin? Will Erin say the right things to keep his friends on his side? Because even Mikasa is having a hard time defending Erin at this point, and she's Erin's constant defender on that. Um, Will ultimately someone end up eating Erin? Will Erin be the next to die? Will one of his friends be the next to die? And what will happen with Gabby and Falco? Where will they go? What will they do? Will Gabby's bloodlust be sedated at some point? Will she find her fucking chill? What about the Eldian volunteers? What will happen with them? What were they planning up to this point? Now that they've been captured by the very people they were assisting. What of Zeke? What is his end goal? What happened in this year's time between the friendly relations of an Aaron who cares for his friends and what caused him to snap and not even mourn the loss of Sasha? Where is his mind at right now? Because that is the big question. Where is the mind of someone who has all this power at right now? who has a limited amount of time. Will ultimately Zeke be cut down by Levi? There's just so many questions at this point. And what will happen with the Marleyan forces, preemptive strike on Paradise Island? Will it, go off without a hitch? Will they take down the forces of the island? So many questions, and just, in both the past, the present, and the future. There's too much intrigue. There hasn't been a lot of action, but there's a lot of intrigue because with the death of Sasha, it's just showing we're back in the point where anyone could die at any moment. And who's next is the question on everyone's mind. But if you liked what I had to say about this chapter, leave me a like. If you didn't, leave me a dislike, and leave me a comment about what I can do better to improve. And subscribe for more on Attack on Titan. The attack's on Erin at this point. Thanks for joining me.